Daniel Krynzel has a no BS approach geared towards men that wants to make more money, living their financial purpose, and lead their families on how to get direct guidance from the ultimate coach, God. And I feel like this applies also to women. So in 2008, Daniel lost everything. There was the real estate crash and it took him down. He lost his house, his cars, his toys, money, but most unfortunately lost his custody of his children. So he got into drinking and he got sober and got back into business, and he had a mortgage business and massive financial success from that. So I want to welcome Daniel to the show. And Daniel, I want to ask you the first question of how did you get yourself out of that hole that you were in, after the crash and losing so much?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. It was a simple conversation. It was an ask. It was me on a. I remember the exact spot I was in Las Vegas, and it was hot outside. It was July 7th, 2010, and I asked God. I said, I need help. Like, I can't stop drinking. Like, please help me. And that right there was the first time that I asked for God's help, and I felt it happen right away. Like, the obsession to want to drink alcohol or use drugs, it was like taken from me, and it
Wow,
hasn't returned since.
that's amazing. So how did
Yeah.
that, and then where'd that take you? So were you already in tune with God, or I mean, before that, were you God-fearing man,
Yeah.
or?
Well, I grew up across the street from a Catholic church. We went to church like once every 2 years. It wasn't like a
Okay.
consistent thing. I knew of God, and it was like a foxhole prayer is what it was. Like, I need you to get me out of this one. Like, God, I
Mm-hmm.
need your help. Like, I can't stop. At that time, I was living on my dad's couch. I blew up my $1 million business. I lost it. I had no custody of the kids, and I was literally drinking like all day long.
Wow.
And I just reached out. I asked for help, and there it was. And I had like that burning bush feeling that some people get,
Mm-hmm.
where my whole body was like on fire. And I knew God was present with me that day. And that was like the springboard for this relationship that I've had, that I've been able to create, like the life of my dreams, because of simply because I was willing to ask for help from the creator of the universe. And things are amazing now because of that.
That's awesome. So where's that taken you? Take us on your journey of where that's taken you.
Yeah. So July 7th, 2010 was like the starting point of my new life, I guess you could call it. And I got back in the mortgage business, and I had some massive success because I was led by God. Like I was doing the right things. I wasn't drinking and poisoning myself, and staying up all night drinking, and then like going to the office with a hangover, just trying to make more money. Like, it was different this time. Like, things like meant something to me. I remember creating this mortgage business it was very successful, like to a point to where, like, I was doing more revenue than 5 or 10 loan officers were doing at that time, maybe 20 loan officers at a time. Like,
Wow.
it was massive. And it was all around, like, I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to hire the right people, and I'm going to build the right business, and I'm going to do the things that I want to do, and I'm not going to do the things that I don't want to do. Like, this is all led by God. This wasn't like I just figured this out. Like, I was in this direct communication for a long time, with just understanding that I can reach out, and I can have these conversations. I can have this communication, this relationship with God, and He can direct me. And it was just, it's been incredible since I've learned this. I like stumbled across it. Like I said, I didn't know what was going to happen when I asked Him to help me
All
the
right.
first time.
Well, and it seems like you want purpose now. Like there's this new purpose for you, not just doing the mundane thing, but there's a real purpose.
Yeah, there is. That's like the most exciting thing that anyone could ever have, man or woman. Like, if you know, like, why you're here, and like what your purpose truly is, um your day feels completely different.
Yeah.
Like as I've been walking with God, and a lot of things happened in my life to where I got to the level that I got to where my relationship and my communication is like incredible. Um, but as I've been like connected, like I was always like wondering, especially at the beginning, like I was making this money in the mortgage business. And I was like, there's something missing. Like, why am I not happy? Like making hundreds of thousands of dollars, monthly. And like, what's wrong with me? Why don't
Yeah.
I feel good? And it was because I wasn't doing the right thing. Like I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, like what I was built to do. I wasn't living like my true purpose. And that was like a big like that 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 point that when I determined that like I was in the wrong industry, I was doing the wrong thing, I was making money um in the wrong business, that's when like things really like started to go forward for me in my life. Like the joy and the abundance and everything started flowing when I got out of the wrong industry, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that does. So what
Yeah.
is this purpose? Can you, I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of
It's kind of a big one. So
okay.
just be ready.
Yeah.
uh I'm here to change the world.
Awesome.
Like what I do means something. It means something to me because the abilities and the talents like God gave me was not for me to just like close a bunch of mortgages and make a bunch of money, build teams and move people into their homes. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's not what I was created for. That's not why I'm here. Why I'm here is to influence individuals, to connect individuals directly to God, like to connect men and women to God so they can understand that they can live an abundant life by first starting to understand that like there's a purpose for each person. Like everyone's got a different reason or a different gift or a different talent that 99% of the world, they have no idea that this information is available to them. Like they have no idea that there's a purpose that is perfect for each person that lives here. Like God made every single person with a different set of talents, a different set of gifts, a different way to like bear fruit onto the world, like to
Mm-hmm.
make things better here on earth. There's just a lot of people running after making money and supporting their family and buying a house and all this other stuff that just that's all important, but that's if you're just looking to do that, like that's all you're going to be able to do.
Yeah, I think that,
So
like you're saying, I mean, finances and being in a financial abundant situation financially is an opportunity to serve other people, but you have to have that purpose behind it, not just the money is not the key and all, but the
yeah,
purpose of
I
serving.
mean, like yes, like Shelly, look at it like this. Like when you do something that like means something, and not just like means something like in your household, like that's important, but something that means something in your community or in your work environment or in your state or in your country or in the world, like something that like is that matters. Like that connection when someone I watch this all the time, when someone makes that connection, they're like, I finally figured out what my purpose is. I finally figured out why I'm here. Like there's no motivation needed. There's no, oh my God, I got to motivate myself today to like get out of procrastinate. Like there's none of that because you're so driven and so passionate about what it is that you're doing that it doesn't matter what gets in your way, you'll crush it. And that's like what's exciting when someone really links up with why are you here? And when someone can answer that question, like very many people, there's not very many people that can answer that question. Like think about it. If you lined up 10 people and you said, what is your purpose? Like, why did God make you? Why are you here?
That's a hard
The
one for
answers will
you.
be
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's hilarious. I mean, not like in a negative way, like that's just the way that the world is designed,
yeah.
right? Especially the way the influence has happened and how people are taken over by I've got to chase the money or I got to chase the job. Like money is
Mm-hmm.
important, the job is important, the business is important, but there's much more than that. And
Yeah.
people don't ever usually get past that making the money feed the family or do the job or whatever. They don't get to the next step, which is what are you here for? Like, what's your purpose? And that's what I've got in my relationship with God, especially over the last year. Like over the last year, like my relationship with God has gotten so solid and so strong. I have communications with God like every single day. And it's the most incredible life I've ever lived. I never even thought I could live the life that I have today because of this one thing. Like I'm lined up with why I'm here. I'm lined up with what God wanted me to do, like what God made me to be and to show up as. Like that's who I am today.
Wow, that's amazing. And what a gift in itself to have that communication with God daily. And I think that takes work too. It's not, I mean, you were lucky. That your first experience of getting out of that deep hole that you were in and having that deep experience with God and that connection with him. I mean, I feel, he is our father. He is our father of our spirits, and he wants us to communicate, but we just have to call it to him like you had to call it to him. And
Yeah.
now you're talking to him every day. What a blessing. And that helps. Does that, you feel, help with your drive and continue in your purpose and understanding it? That
Yeah. I mean,
communication.
strategically, it's the best thing anyone could ever do for their life. Like,
Mhm.
let's just look at it like from a business perspective. Like, not very many people understand this or they don't connect this. Like, God will direct you on how to make money.
Yeah.
God will direct you on how to market. God will direct you on how to make your sales, to fulfill on the product that you're selling or offering or whatever it is that you're doing. Or God will show you where to go to get a job or to work or the industry you're supposed to be in. Like God has all the answers.
Yeah.
But so many times, like we don't ask God, like, why am I here? If everyone could just ask that question, like right now, like, why am I here? They're gonna get an answer. If they're open to hearing God's voice, they'll get an answer.
Right.
They'll get an intuitive idea, a thought, they'll get a sign, they'll get whatever it is. They might even get God's voice like I get. Like they're going to get something. And they're going to be able to know like, okay, wow, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. And then you just take steps forward to that. So that's what happened to me in my business. The most exciting thing though, the like most eye-opening thing that ever happened in my life was not getting sober or anything like that. It was when I was connected directly to God, the soulmate, the woman that is like God made for me showed up, like
Awesome.
with bells and whistles on, like, hey, I'm here. And I didn't even know that like this was possible. Like I've got children. I've been married before. But when I started walking with God and I started taking the steps strategically that he was telling me to take every single day, I opened myself up to attract like the woman that came into my life that changed my life forever. Like a woman that elevates me and appreciates every single thing that I'm about. And I didn't even know that there was like a woman on the planet that was able to like show up like this one. Like I didn't even know like it was possible. Like you know how like you have a dream and you're like, man, if I could just have a spouse or a husband or a wife, you know, if you're a man or a woman, whatever it is, but like if I could just have my partner to be like perfect and my partner to never like disagree with me like on where we're going to live or what furniture we're going to buy for the new house or what car we're going to drive or where we're going to go out to eat or like no arguments. Like I didn't even know that was available. And then she shows
Yeah.
up and I'm like, oh my God, like, wow. So everything else was like, it was not a good use of my time to be with the women that I was with before at
Mm-hmm.
all.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a detriment to my growth. And so now I find this woman that I didn't find this woman. This woman was literally like delivered to me by God. And she shows up and she elevates me. She makes me better every single day. And she supports me and she's behind me with everything that I want to do. Even if it doesn't like make that much sense, like she believes in me.
That's
And
beautiful.
that's something else that I've gotten, you know, with my relationship with God.
Wow. I want to back up a little bit. You had talked about, this communication with God. So can you give some tips to someone that this is a new concept to them or they're not sure what to do?
Yeah.
How do they
So
create
first,
that?
Absolutely, Shelley. So the first thing is there's no rules here. And I want to start with that.
Mhm.
You don't have to be a part of a certain religion or a certain church or a certain belief system. Now, if you go to church, I prefer church. You can go to church. That's great, especially if you bring in your family to church. Like those families that go to church and they're together, like usually have better relationships at home. I just want
Mhm.
to start with that. But there's no rules. If you don't go to church, that's fine. It's God. You can talk to God. The one foundational requirement, though, that you must have for what I'm about to share with you to work for you is you have to believe that there's a God, that there's someone bigger and better and stronger and smarter than you, that has more information than you have. Like that is the foundational truth. That if you can get behind that and go, you know what? There is a God that created this universe that knows everything. He knows way more than me. If you can start with that belief, doesn't have to be a Catholic God, a Christian job, a Christian God. It doesn't have to be any of that. It just has to be something that's bigger than you. If you can have that foundational belief, then what I'm about to share with you will work every single time.
Right.
So, I mean, that makes sense, right, Shelley?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what I started doing was like I made a commitment. The commitment that I made was is that I was going to walk with God first thing in the morning every single day of my life. Every single day I wasn't going to miss. Now, if for some reason I didn't get that chance to walk like first thing in the morning, I was still walking with God every single day. But my commitment was to connect with God every single day. That was my first commitment. And the reason why I made that was like I felt drawn to, like I have to. Like
Hmm.
this is important. And I was going to start my day with God. I was going to start my day with his instructions, with his coaching, with his direction, with his inspiration, with his guidance. Like I was going to do that. And as a result of that, like there's too much for us to talk about that's happened that has been beautiful in my life in this broadcast. But I just want you to know, like the second that that decision was made, everything changed for me. Everything opened up. I mean, it really did. She showed up. I actually got out of the industries that I was in, and I got into the industry that I'm supposed to be in, that I'm passionate about. Like my true purpose and calling is now here. Like I have more toys than I know what to play with. I have more motorcycles and cars than like I gotta like drive them just like keep them like good. Like you don't want them sitting for that long. Like
Hmm.
I have problems now, like but good problems, all because of like being connected to God on a daily basis.
Yeah, be in the
And
flow with him, aligned with him.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So could I go over like some strategic like ways that I walk with God on a daily basis? Would that be okay?
Yes, Daniel, that'd be great. That'd
Okay.
be awesome.
So first thing is I made the decision I was going to walk every day. Second thing is I realized I needed to walk. This is not a sit and talk. This is a walk and talk with God.
Okay.
And the reason why you mentioned the word flow, I have to be in a flow state to be open for the revelation that God will give me. So I started walking and getting into this flow state where I would be walking, I would go to the park. That's where I started. The reason I would go to the park was it wasn't my backyard, it wasn't my neighborhood, it wasn't my office, it wasn't the office parking lot. It was somewhere different that was like a space that I could hold just for me and God.
Hmm.
So I started walking at the park and super early. I get up super early. I'm walking in the park and I'm having these strategic conversations. I realized that if I had like a structure to my walk and I did the structure exactly the same every single day, I would get predictable results from my walks with God. Like if you can imagine, Shelly, like I wake up, I go on a walk, I know that I'm going to get exact direction and coaching from God every single time. Like, could you imagine like how sharp that tool is in my tool belt? Like,
Yeah,
I live my
definitely.
life like doing what I'm supposed to do, right?
And you don't want to miss that meeting. You want to
No,
make.
I want to make that meeting. That's right.
Uh,
This meeting, I'm getting something out of, you
yeah.
know? And it's not another coaching program or package I have to buy. Like, he's there,
Yeah.
ready. It's like amazing. You know, there's no like person calling me saying, hey, you got to re up on your plan. Like, none of that. Like,
Yeah.
he's there. He's there ready, you know?
Ready and waiting.
I'm not saying that, paying for coaching or buying programs is a bad thing. It's a great thing. It's just whenever I make a business decision, it's based on my walk that morning or the
Wow.
mornings before that. the information that I get. Do I hire this marketing firm? Do I hire this team? What do I do with my marketing? How do I, how do I scale my teams and my sales and my fulfillment? Like, how does that look? Like, what changes do I make? Like, that's all from God. So as I'm walking strategically, the first thing that I would do when I get into a flow state is I would set an intention for that walk. The intention would be whatever it is that I want for that day. Like, God, my intention today is to work on this area. Could be business, could be my body, could be my relationships. Whatever it is, I'm setting an intention. I'm letting God know, hey, this is my preference. I like to work on this. I like to get some guidance on this, but obviously you're the boss. So if there's something else that's more pressing that you know about that I don't, then I'm open. Like,
Right.
that's the conversation.
Yeah.
Then I immediately get into gratitude. I review the last 24 hours of my day. This is what I do every single time. Every single day I'm in gratitude. I'm reminded about how great God's blessings are in my life. And the reason I do that is it opens up for more blessings. You've heard this before. Yeah. This is this is the truth. This is like the strongest truth you could ever hear is getting into gratitude, but in a strategic way to literally like know that when you're in gratitude, you'll open up more.
Yeah.
That's what this is for.
But that makes me think of even my children, like when they're grateful for something or when someone else is grateful for something, you want to give more. And I think that's the same concept. I mean, with God. So
my son, he killed me on a text the other day, just almost brought tears to my eyes. So I buy him this Ford Mustang and he loves it. It's the V8, it's the big motor, and it's the 5-speed, so he's like, he wants a stick. Mm-hmm. And this is his second car. His first car wasn't exciting. It was a brand new car, but it wasn't exciting like a Mustang, right? And I'm into race cars, so like he likes going fast. He just doesn't drive any of my fast cars because I won't let him, right? Okay. He can ride with me. Anyway, but he wants to drive. So I get him this Mustang and I tell him, I'm like, hey, I was telling him something about the registration of the car. I'm like, hey, I'm going to send you a new plate. I just moved. Me and my wife got a beautiful place in West Palm Beach, Florida. And he's going to college. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to be sending you a new plate. And he's like, okay, great. And I'm like, hey, and by the way, I'm probably going to upgrade your car just because I think it's time for you to get a little bit more speed in that car, or we can upgrade and get you a new car. He sends me back this text and he's like, Dad, I'm so grateful for this Mustang. Like, I don't need anything else right now. Like, matter of fact, the next car that I buy, I want to buy with my own money. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's not like, where did this come from? Like my son doesn't talk like that,
Oh yeah.
And he did, and it was because of the gratitude. So what do I want to do? Just like you said, I want to buy him another car now. Like I'm like, no, let me buy it.
Yeah.
Like trying to like buy him another car because of like him being open. It's the same thing with God. When you're in gratitude, I'm telling you right now, more blessings come in all areas. So I'm setting an intention, I'm getting into gratitude, and then the flow goes like this. Then I lay on the table, like I let God know that I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to let him know where I'm at in my financial purpose, where I'm at in my body and health, where I'm at in my relationships. Like God already knows where I'm at in those 3 areas of my life, but I need God to know that I know.
Yeah.
And I need God to know that I'm being honest. Like I see it. Like it's kind of like a mirror exercise. Like I'm looking into my own eyes and my own soul, and I'm like, this is where I'm at. Like, this is not so good. This is great. This is not so good. Whatever it is, like, you got to be honest. So I noticed that when I get honest, then the gold happens. Then the 4th step of my walk is asking for direct coaching and guidance from God. And not just like, I don't just throw out like that foxhole prayer, like I need help. Like I can't stop drinking. It's not that at all. It's so strategic now. It is, God, what is the direction and focus I need to have to maximize my financial purpose? And like that question right there has changed everything for me, because God will then speak to me. Now, a lot of people, when they first start walking with this frame, they might not get God's voice. Some people do, some people don't. The people that don't get God's voice, what they'll get is they'll get an intuitive thought. They'll get an idea. They'll get a picture, an image. Everyone's brain is set up a little differently, but they'll get something that is what we call like an inspired thought, or it's God's voice, one or the other. You'll get to hearing God's voice if you do it long enough. I hear God's voice every single day now, and I can just channel it. I open myself up, and then he just tells me what to do. It's the most incredible but most fulfilling thing I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, I bet.
Other than my wife, So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to his coaching, and I started like a while ago, I started like just pulling out my cell phone and hitting like a record button on my voice, like a voice
Mm-hmm.
note. And I would start just like saying verbally like all the ideas and all of the voice that I would hear, like I would like speak it back into my phone so I could record it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's like boatloads, just like paragraphs of like nuggets that God would give me for business, like for my marketing, for every way to like explode my business and explode like my financial purpose. Like it's never been a money situation for me. It's always been a purpose situation. Like I'm not aligned with my purpose. For so many years, I wasn't aligned. Like I was able to make a lot of money. I was able to help people. I was able to provide for my family, but there was something missing like inside. Like I wasn't doing something that meant enough. Like I needed to do something that meant way more than just, being in a mortgage business or being in a coaching industry or whatever. Like I needed to do something that was going to change the world forever, that had the potential to like take families and completely change them for generations to come. Like that is what I needed, because that's what God made me to be. Like I wasn't living up to that potential for so many years. And there's a lot of people that are listening, a lot of the women that are listening to this right now, Shelly, they're like, man, I'm not I'm not living up to my potential. And if
Yeah.
you're like saying that, you're probably right. Like there's not very many people that are actually living their true purpose, that are getting out of life everything that they're supposed to get out of life. They're not making the impact that they're supposed to be making. And it starts and it ends with God. Like God is the one that's going to be able to direct you on what you're supposed to do and who you're supposed to be. I can't tell you that. I
Right.
can't coach you and put you through some exercise for you to get this answer. Like the only way I can do this is to connect you with God directly. God's going to tell you, because God's the one that knows. Nobody here on earth knows what God knows. If someone claims that they know, they're lying to you. They don't
Yeah.
really know. So I would get these nuggets from my financial purpose. So boom, check mark. Like my financial purpose explodes. Like the meaning behind what I do and the passion that I have behind this is through the roof. The success is through the roof. The potential of changing the world forever in the next 5 years is definitely going to be like apparent. Everyone that is listening right now, you will know Godspeed with Daniel as a household name in the next 5 years. Why?
Awesome.
Because it means something. It's important.
Yes.
Like the only thing that this brand is attached to is connecting men and women to God directly. That's all that my passion is. That's like the whole focus. And really the reason why I'm doing this is because there's a lot of good versus evil going on in our world right now. There's propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many bad things that are being pushed our way, Shelley, for an agenda, for other countries to be able to control our country from afar. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot going on. And when people are connected to God, they don't have that power anymore. That's what's so exciting about this. Like I know what I'm doing means something. My body and health, like I'm in my early 40s. I am really, really strong. I'm full of like energy. I'm vibrant. Like I'm healthy. There's nothing wrong with me. All because God has directed me on how to eat and how to work out and how to show up, physically.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing. Like how many times do we hear the next greatest thing, like the next diet that's like going to change your life, or the workout plan that like will be the best workout plan you've ever had? Like you've heard these before, right, Shelley?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think what you were saying about, on your walk and how you started voice recording, I think that shows God that you're taking it seriously. You have this purpose, and then you're not writing down, but voicing it, so you're proclaiming what he's saying to you, taking it seriously. And then you say, you act on it. And so that's where your blessings have come, right? That,
Yes.
yeah, Daniel, just go. You're just going to get that direction and go. So that's
Right.
awesome.
I get more when he sees me actually take on what he gives me.
Yeah.
God will only give us what we can handle. He's not going to lay out the whole plan. That's why a
Yeah.
lot of
Step
people
by
that go to
step.
church, and yeah, a lot of people that go to church, they only go to church on Sunday and they do nothing else the rest of the week. Like there's no momentum created that way.
Right.
Like you should, if you're a church guy, you should, or a woman, you should go to church, and then you should walk with God all the other 6 days or 7 days out of the week. You should be connected every single day. That's how momentum is built. So The last part of this strategic walk would be, what is my focus and direction to maximize my relationships? Now that relationship could be how I show up as a husband, how I show up as a father, how I show up as a business owner and leader. How do I make the impact that I'm supposed to make with the men that I'm coaching? Whatever it is, like I am I am asking for that guidance. I need that guidance. And it's incredible when I get it. I get it every single day. And like I know what my wife needs, which is amazing because God tells me like I have like the cheat, like I have like the text
Cheat
message
sheet.
that no one
Yeah.
else, yeah, no one else has this number, you know? And so I get
Mhm.
to like send the message and then I get it back and I'm like showing up completely differently than what she would think I would. And she's like, this is exactly what I wanted. And I'm like, I know. She's like, how did you know? I'm like, because God told me. It's so amazing. So
Yeah.
there was a couple of things that have happened since I've been walking this consistently. Like my purpose completely changed um, from being a mortgage guy and being this coach in the marketing and sales space to like really connecting with individuals now and connecting them to their true passion, their true purpose, like connecting them to doing something in their lives that means something. And it all starts and ends with God. It doesn't start and end with me. It's God. Like I am stepping completely out of the way right now. This is not about me. This is about the ability to connect with God. And I I was so strategic about these walks that like I created an app. And the reason I created this app was because like I needed to get like all these recordings. I needed to have them stored. And so I like needed it for me first.
Hmm.
And as I'm like creating this app, I'm like, wait a minute, like duh, like thanks God for having me like build this and create this. This is duplicatable. That's how I teach my men and women how to connect with God is through this app. This app does exactly what I do. You read the question, you verbally give the answer, it records you. You ask the question, you verbally give the answer, it records you. It has the exact structure that I talked about on being in a flow state and being able to get the guidance and not just your business and your financial purpose, but your body and your health and your relationships. Like it's the most incredible tool that it's not just a business tool, like it's a life tool. It's like a
Yeah.
living your life tool. It's like finding your purpose tool. And it's been just amazing to see what has happened since I created this app.
Wow, that is so incredible. Yeah, I'm excited for people to look at this app and get a hold of it and really connect with God through using this app. I mean, it seems like an amazing tool. And so where can people get that? Is that just on Apple, the apps that they can get that, or where can they get that
Yeah,
app?
so it's at the App Store. It's at Google Play and it's on the iOS store as well. So you just go to your App Store and you type in the GodWalk app. It'll pop up. Um, I want to do something special though for everyone that's listening. Is that okay if I do something special
Oh
like for
yeah,
you and your audience here?
that'd be great.
Okay. So you can go to the App Store. That's where the app is hosted. It's $399 on the App Store. It was very, very intensive for us to create an app that's available on the App Store. It's
Mhm.
expensive. It's time consuming. There's teams that you have to involve. So the cost is $399. What I'm going to do for everyone that's here, instead of going to the App Store directly to get the app, if you go to godspeedwithdaniel.net, so godspeedwithdaniel.net, one S, and then .net, .net. So godspeedwithdaniel.net, you can pick up the GodWalk app for $27.
Wow.
And
Okay.
you'll be able to utilize it. It has all the training. It has the unlimited GodWalks. It has the GodWalk log. So everything's recorded. And it has what you need to like truly like do something that means something in life. Like
Yeah.
for $27, like you're going to get more value out of it in the first 5 seconds of using it than any $27 you've ever invested in yourself. So that's what's so incredible about this is that like God has made it available. He's had me make it available and create it through his guidance. So anybody can do what we just talked about today, like for their own self and for their own life. And the women that are listening, like they can start walking with God. They can have their husbands do the same thing. Like, here's what I do know Every single woman that's listening right now, they want a man to take care of them.
Yeah.
They want a man that can take care of them financially, domestically, you know, spiritually,
Mm-hmm.
sexually, like all of that. That's what women want. And what's beautiful about this is when women have a man that is head of the household, that's leading their family, that is connected directly to God, like that woman will follow that man because that woman knows like this man is doing what is needed to have success in our family at whatever level that is. Like
Yeah.
this man is not trying to figure life out and trying to like see, oh, will this work for the family? You know, what if I do this job? Will it work? Or, you know, what if we move to this city? Or what if we have the kids go to this school? Like, no, God is directing that man to make those decisions and to lead that family. That woman is going to follow that man. That's why my relationship is so good with my wife. Like she knows that I don't make decisions without God's guidance. Like I won't. I refuse to. Like when Daniel has an idea, like that one is checked with God first. And most of the time it's adjusted a little bit because when I have an idea, it's not as good as God's idea. I can tell you that right now. So it's really exciting to be able to have this and have this available for men and women to be able to literally walk with God strategically.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I think what you're saying, like a woman will follow a man because there's security in that, because he's looking to God, right? And with God, there is security if you're following it. So it's attractive to have a man that's looking to God to help lead him. So, and I think this app is amazing. So I'm excited for people to get a hold of it, and so generous of you to have that. So we'll have all that in the show notes. We'll have that the link in the show notes. And where else can people find you to follow you?
You can go to Godspeed with Daniel at any handle on all the social media channels. We're there. And then also godspeedwithdaniel.com is our main website. But again, this special backdoor spot, because I want to hang out with everyone and that's cool. You can follow me, but really I don't want you to follow me. I want you to walk with God.
Yeah.
The reason I want you to walk with God is because that's what's going to help you. So go to godspeedwithdaniel.net and walk with God with a GodWalk app for $27. That's really where you should go. Everything else will happen, and you'll hear about us, you'll see us, and all that other stuff is great. But I literally I want you to walk with God before you do anything. Because when you walk with God, like your life will change exponentially. You following me and checking me out on all the Instagram and Facebook and all the cool stuff we have now, that's great. But most important, when you're walking with God, your life's going to change. You're going to find what you're supposed to be doing with your life. Like, why are you here? When you can answer that question, your life's going to change exponentially. I can guarantee you that every single time.
I 100% agree. Thank you so much, Daniel, for being with us today. Do you have any last comments you want to make, or anything else you would like to share?
It starts and ends with God for me. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, like I live a life of abundance in all areas of my life because of this relationship and this ability to get guidance and act on God's direction daily. Like I do it daily and my life just keeps growing. So if you want that and you want to improve your life, you just walk with God. It's that simple. That's the last thing that I want to say is whether you get the app or not, if you're listening to this broadcast, I gave you everything inside the app that you'll have. Start walking with God, with or without the app. I don't really care. I want you to have the relationship with God so you can get that answer that you've always been looking for, even if you didn't know, like, why are you here and what is your purpose in life? When you can figure that out, like things will change forever.
Well, thank you, Daniel. It is so powerful what you have shared today. And I hope that people are listening. And like you said, just to commune with God and to have that revelation, that inspiration from him and that direction in life. And thank you for sharing your talents, for listening to God and calling out to him and sharing that with others so that others can find their purpose in their life as well.